Waiting,
There it is.
waiting. And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek here where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever, and today we're going to talk about putting turrets on your game. We've been creating a game. I don't know if you guys have been following along. If you haven't, you need to go back and watch some of the previous Hangouts, but we've been creating a game called Monsters Need Coins. It started out as sort of a gravity conversation slash clone of They Need to Be Fed 3, but I think it's beginning to take on its own life here, or at least it
It's
feels
just
like it.
about ready to change into its own, morph into its own game.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, so joining us on the panel is Ed Marina from RoamingGamer.com. We've also got Kevin from SeaburnGames.com. We've got Sergey from SpiralCodeStudio.com and Stephen from IsbalbaStudios.com. All right. Did you guys watch the Apple announcement? Anybody?
I did.
I never watch those things. I just read them later.
Well, we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. We're going to talk all about Apple stuff, specifically tvOS, how iPad, new screen real estate on iPad Pro might mean to us, all those types of things like that. So if you're into some of the late night sort of hangouts that we've been having, join us Tuesday, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific. And there should be a link up on Google Plus if you want to check out actually, it's all over the place. We put it on Twitter and Facebook and all of those things. So go check it out. And come join us. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. Did you guys see anything in particular that you liked?
Well, the iPad. Jason's here. You got him. Yeah, I don't want to start the whole conversation.
Right.
But the iPad, definitely. I've been waiting for that to be a real thing. So, yeah, that's
yeah.
Big.
I want the iPad.
You do?
Oh, I would definitely get one if I could afford it.
No, Sergey. Sergey said you want the iPad.
Yeah, I will try to save some money and buy it.
That's pretty telling because I think up to this point you've been sort of neutral on that, at least if nothing else, and haven't really been impressed by any of the recent stuff. I mean, I don't know if that's too far-reaching to say any, but you haven't really shown much interest in their recent announcements. So the fact that you're interested in the iPad, I think that's a big deal.
Well, my old iPad is very old, and I need to replace it eventually. So I just had a choice: replace it with some Air or go big, and I decided to go big.
Well, I bought the Surface 3. I enjoy the form factor and being able to write directly on the screen. But I can tell you, if the iPad Pro, the Apple Pencil, and their smart keyboard live up to its promise, I'll definitely be selling the Surface 3. So if you're in the market for that, let me know.
So, Sergey, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
For me, the motivation to get that iPad is I feel like the iPad was always great, but it wasn't quite big enough to do serious work on. But now, with a screen that's almost twice as big, it feels like it's finally in the big leagues. It's ready for serious work.
Well, with this screen, you have to decide whether you want a tablet or MacBook Air or something, because the price is not that much different. And yeah, with this new big screen, with this new processor that can handle much more functionality, it's gonna be cool.
I don't know if you guys have used the iMovie on on a iPhone or a tablet here recently, but it works extremely well on the iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. So I'm thinking that one of the primary tasks that would drive me to buy a laptop would be something like movie editing or something like that, some sort of heavy hitter application that you would need. And I think that with the iPad Pro, we may be that's a tipping point where we may be starting to move towards, like Sergey said, people just buying that one device.
I hope actually, secretly for dual boot device like iOS and OS X, it would be magnificent. But for sure, Apple will not make any of this in the near future.
Yeah. Well, I think for app developers though, it's a nice. I think we're like I said, we're at tipping point. We're getting to that point where it's now it's okay, I think serious desktop application developers would say, like companies would say, like I could see. Well, there's already some that are doing it. Adobe is, investing heavily in mobile and stuff like that. I can see.
What about Microsoft?
Yeah, I can see some of these companies that are just specifically desktop saying, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna port all this to mobile and focus on that for a while." So, and then eventually there'd be no reason to have a laptop, air quotes. So anyway, all right. Well, yeah, you're right. We know that's not. It's hard, that's the one thing about talking about these things. It's hard not to talk about these things. Yeah. So it's good. I mean, I'm glad. I'm good to hear that Sergey is interested in this, and so we'll talk more about this tomorrow night. Did you guys see that there is a #1 app in the game category on the Apple App Store that is a Corona app? It's called Pop the Lock.
I saw it because you said it, and I wanna. They're the #1 free app. Category independent, not just.
Oh, is it category independent? I thought it was just in the games category, but it's category independent. All right.
Maybe it was earlier, but they're shooting up there.
It's pretty. I downloaded it. It's. I don't know if you guys have played it, but it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't even come with any instructions, which at the beginning is almost kind of like I don't know what I'm doing. But then once you kind of clue into like what your only options are, you're like, oh, I get it, right? And it's. So you tap the screen, the little tick mark starts moving, and then there's like a little dot, and then when you tick mark gets over the dot, you hit the screen again, and you've unlocked the lock. And then of course it becomes more and more complicated as you go along. It's a cool game. You should go check it out. Pop the Lock. We're excited, that it's out there, and the developer has already. I mean, they have a lot of other games as well, but this one, I think the main point of this one is just how simple it is. It's incredibly simple.
Their page on iTunes, they indeed have a number of other simple-looking games, and they really have quite a few downloads. But I'm very skeptical if it's just some as they featured in the App Store.
Oh, you think it's like some sort of anomaly or something that's just
no?
Fluke?
It's either they are featured in the App Store or they have spent tons of money on the marketing.
Oh, okay. So you're curious as to how it's gotten to its current rank. Yeah. Well, here's their Tomb Breaker app, and it's a great little game as well, and it's but you can see, right? I mean, they got particle effects going on here. They've got lots of graphic design. They've got lots of little in-app kind of stuff, and obviously this Pop the Lock is sort of a big departure from that because it's pretty simple as far as the UI and the concept.
Somebody's phone call.
Yeah, that was me. I was plugging it back into the thing over here.
You said something important just a minute ago. I know we got other things to talk about today, but I wanted to raise it. I almost didn't, but it came up before the show, and indirectly. And you said almost no instructions. And we were talking about before the show how people complain and say, "Oh, I can't figure it out," or "This has got too many controls," or "This is too hard." How do you guys feel about I've almost gotten to the point. How do I frame this question? I've gotten to the point lately where I want to make a game, but I really don't want to put all the effort into going here. Do this, click this.
I think I'm sorry. I just want to jump right in here because I've actually thought about this Pop the Lock. How would you, without words, right? So that you don't have to make it internationally viable. Without words, how did you make this game more obvious as to what you're supposed to do? And the only thing I can think of is there's that dot that's on the lock, and I could see if you just made it like pulse just a little bit, right? That would sort of draw your attention to it, and then as soon as you tap the screen, the little tick mark's going to start moving, right? And then, maybe I'm because I already played it. Maybe I'm reaching, but it seems like that would make sense. Like you'd be drawn to, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do something else, right? Apart from that, you'd have to do some sort of visual that doesn't have words in it that shows you tapping in the screen to start it and tapping the screen to stop it. I don't know.
So you're saying you feel like that's still needed? Some kind of.
Well, I don't know. See, I would start with doing the pulse, right? Just to draw the attention to because at the beginning of the thing, I didn't realize that the dot was part of the interaction, I tapped it. The tick mark went to the dot, and then it stopped. And when it touched the dot, it was like, okay, you failed. And I was like, oh, what did I do there? Right?
I like when game waits for a few seconds, and if you're not doing anything, it just shows you an error or something what you have to do.
So you're saying like leave it as an option that only shows up if they need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can go either way, but it certainly needs a little something. And I think maybe it all depends on what your revenue model is too, right? I mean, with Flappy Birds, you want the bird to go crash and burn and at least once, and then for them to play after that. So
yeah, I mean, I only picked it up. I saw you because you tweeted it out before the hangout today. So I played it for 3 minutes. I'm with you. Once I got it, you get it. But at the very beginning, it was sort of, and I like the simplicity of here's the thing, play with it, figure it out. I like that, but I think you're right that it could use a little something because there's sort of there's the line and there's the dot, and you can tell that you need to line these things up. But I think when I first played with it, I didn't know what my expectation was. Is the dot going to move? Is the line going to move? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And I don't know that it needs to be before you've played any sort of demonstration, but I think it can be if you've had 2 or more unsuccessful interactions on your first go. Maybe then a little visual indicator pops up.
Yeah, I did play it several times before I was like, what? And it had been brought to my attention by Walter, and of course there's this email thread where people were like, well, how do you play? What do you do? And then of course I had the benefit of that conversation to see that you're supposed to do something and then line things up, and then it became clear, but it wasn't that way right from the beginning.
I'm just looking at the numbers here. They released 4 days ago, and the number 1 right now. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, right. So good for you guys. Good for I think it's simple machines. Congratulations, good job. Lots of success to you for that, for sure.